Hey, what's up guys? Chris VA Travels, and today making a video on Sabine Hall, one of Virginia's finest historic homes, probably in the top 5 of grandest Georgia mansions in the state. It's located out in the northern neck, just a little south of Warsaw, which is in Richmond County, and sits on a ridge on the north side of the Rappahannock River. It's a privately owned home, so I'm just going to put together a collage of photos I found online. I apologize, most are going to be in black and white, as there's not too much else out there. Oh, and keep an eye out because Sabine does open occasionally for Garden Week. Oh, and also I've always pronounced it Sabine Hall. That's how I've always heard it said around here, as opposed to the Sabine people of Italy. Before I give you the history and show you the inside, I'll give you some specs on the house. As you see, it's a 2-story brick and stone mansion with an English basement, flanked by 2 1.5-story wings. First wing was added at an unknown date, second wing was added in 1929. And as you see, they're not symmetrical. Center of the main facade, see this dominant 2-story 4-column portico. Little faded, but we've got the Flemish bond brickwork, glazed headers, and it looks like the belt and around the windows is rub brick. And I didn't see it noted, but I'm betting this is Aquia sandstone from down there in Stafford County, and they provided the sandstone to almost all the colonial homes in the area, even the White House in the U.S. Capitol. Photo was taken obviously before 1929, before that right wing was added, and this might be the oldest picture in the bunch. Show you some shots of the back of it, and it looks like it'd be pretty nice sitting on that porch. I see some plaster back there, gable up top, and lots more of that sandstone. Landon got inspiration for the name of the house because he was a big fan of the Italian poet Horace. Horace would quite often write about his villa, which was said to be next to the sanctuary of the Sabine goddess Facuna. The original outdoor kitchen sat where the east wing is. During those 1929 renovations, they connected it to the house. And great, this place has stood the test of time. When I was researching, I kept waiting to hear that in 18 so-and-so it burned down, or that during the Civil War it was shelled by Union soldiers or used as their headquarters, but yeah, of course, Civil War never came to the Northern Neck, and yeah, the thing remained unscathed. Here's a shot from Google Earth, and the road/driveway leading up to it is 1.5 miles long, filled with ancient oaks and hickories. This photo was taken in the late 1920s by noted photographer Frances Benjamin Johnson, and she's taken over 7,000 architectural images of estates in Virginia and many other southern states. You've probably seen several of her photos, and I remember seeing a big write-up about her over at Chatham Manor, where I live. She took many of that house and of the little town of Falmouth next door. George Washington visited, and he told Landing Carter of his plans for the campaign of Morristown, and also convinced one of his sons to join the Continental Army. Hey, looks like some triglyphs on the frieze on the wing there. To give you some history, the center porch of the house was built in 1734 by Landing Carter, noted planter, member of the House of Burgesses, and the son of Robert King Carter, who I've mentioned several times, largest landowner here in Virginia at the time, owned over 300,000 acres, which included pretty much all of the Northern Neck and then some. Owned properties in 8 different counties, married 3 times, each time into Virginia's first families, the aristocracy. All 3 wives died young, I'm assuming during childbirth, but I couldn't find it specifically noted. But first wife, Elizabeth Wormley, the second wife, Maria Bird, son of William Bird II, founder of Richmond, and finally third wife, Elizabeth Beale. After she passed away, he decided not to remarry. Finally, he's famous for writing a thorough diary that was turned into a book, and it's a great record of life of the aristocracy in 18th century Virginia. So after Landing Carter passed away, the estate went into the hands of his son, Robert Wormley Carter, and he was typical of the 3rd generation, started to squander the family's wealth, had a really bad gambling problem, had a horse track built on the property. They nicknamed him Wild Bob, but luckily he didn't own things for long because the property then went into the ownership of his son, who was named Landing Carter II, and he restored the family's finances. After that, things started going down the family line. Next was his son, Robert Wormley Carter II. Then his daughter married Dr. Armistead Wilford out of Fredericksburg. So things skipped a generation. Next owner would be their son, Robert Carter Wilford. He owned it through the Civil War. He ended up marrying Elizabeth Harrison out of Berkeley Plantation. After that, things continued down the Welford family lines, all the way up until present day. So that would make close to 300 years the house has been owned by the same family. And the only other house that rivals that would be Shirley Plantation down there in Charles City County. And funny, because that property was also owned by the Carter family. First stop, this giant hall, 18 by 48 foot. It runs, of course, the entire length of the house. Wood paneling and wainscoting made of heart pine. Up there with the best in the state. Maybe not on the level of Carter's Grove, but really nice. On the back wall, a couple large windows and a fan light, letting in plenty of sunlight. Above the settee, you'll see this large painting of Robert King Carter, one of the few originals in existence. Through the arch, you'll see the stairwell, which is a little bit unique for the time. In most cases back then, it would just sit in the center passage. Yeah, so here it is, hand-carved walnut staircase with fluted balustrades. And it looks like we've got plenty more of these Francis Benjamin Johnson photos of the interior here. I'm curious who this bust is of. I see a couple of urns on the table, and another family crest above the door. Yeah, I think this one's a different design. And apologize, I couldn't find any photos of the dining room or any of the bedrooms. And actually, I think all of these photos are from the first floor. Appears to be the study. Looks like we've got that wood paneling going all throughout the house. And picture of Landon above the fireplace. And I don't know who the ladies are hanging on the wall. Wow, color photos really change things. Wouldn't have guessed the walls are red and the marble fireplace is peach. This is the library. Gilded mirror above the fireplace, Rococo design on the top, a couple of pilasters going down the side, and I see a Windsor chair right there at the desk. Yeah, they've got the fireplace covered up. Another side of the library. Looks like they've had those shelves purposely built to fit into the corner and on that pier wall between the windows. You can check out the moldings and the dentals above. Room behind the library. Now, according to the blueprints, this is the drawing room. And you'll see a really nice iron cover on the fireplace. And I don't know if those are large tiles surrounding it, but really nice Asian theme. Okay, so it looks like this room might be part of a bedroom. Got the stove here heating things up. And from the reflection in the mirror, it looks like there are closets behind those curtains. And it looks like this is probably the center portion of the house on the upper level. Nice settee right there. And if you're interested, this is how the basement was laid out. I see a wine cellar. Behind the house, large parterre garden with some terraces leading down to the field that leads down to the river. Apologize, not too much information on slavery. I can only tell you between all of Landon's properties, he owned between 200 and 500 slaves. And in his diary, he mentions a big escape where 8 enslaved had fled Sabine. Somewhere in the backyard, there's supposed to be a 60-pound dinner bell, but I couldn't find a picture of it. Small brick building. Curious if this was a smokehouse. And you'll see a matching clapboard house to its right. Check out the verge board and the pointed arch windows on this side building. According to the American Aristocracy website, the farm is still operational. And finally, there's a graveyard on the property. And Landon Carter, who built the house, he's buried over at Christ Church. And this is his grandson, who went by Landon II. And then here's his second wife, Catherine Taylor Carter. That's going to wrap it up for Sabine Hall. Hopefully down the road, maybe I can catch this thing during Garden Week and get some video footage. But that's it, guys. See ya.